Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Farouk Alasil. In this video, I would like to talk about Sumatra disasters. Floods and landslides that struck Sumatra from late November to December 2025 caused one of the most severe humanitarian and environmental crises in recent years. Aceh, North Sumatra, and West Sumatra were among the hardest hit provinces as continuous heavy rainfall triggered large-scale floods and slope failures. By December 24, 225 reports indicate that more than 100 1,100 people had lost their lives, hundreds were still missing, and massive damage had occurred to houses, roads, bridges, and agricultural land. Several local governments, including the governments of North Sumatra, declared emergency status to accelerate disaster response. However, these magic events should not be viewed simply as unavoidable natural disasters. Instead, they reflect a dangerous interaction between extreme weather conditions and long-standing human negligence toward the environment. One key factor that intensified the disasters in Sumatra was severe environmental degradation, particularly in upstream areas. Over the years, large portions of forest cover have been lost due to land conservation for plantations, mining activities, and expanding settlements. Environmental experts have consistently warned that deforestation, the land's natural ability to absorb rainwater, without sufficient vegetation and strong root systems, soil becomes unstable and vulnerable to erosion. As a result, when intense rainfall occurs, especially during the peak rainy season, water flows rapidly across the surface instead of being absorbed into the ground. This process leads to sudden floods and increases the likelihood of landslides. Reports from environmental organizations such as Mongabay Indonesia have emphasized that in many cases, extreme rainfall acts only as a trigger, while environmental destruction determines how devastating the disaster becomes. Another important issue revealed by the 2025 Sumatra disaster is poor spatial planning and inadequate disaster mitigation. Many residential areas and public infrastructures have been built in floodplains, riverbanks, and unstable hillside zones without proper risk assessment. Drainage systems are often poorly maintained or unable to handle extreme rainfall. When disasters occur, roads and bridges collapse, isolating affected communities and slowing down emergency assistance. The severe damage in regions such as Pesisir Selatan and the large-scale evacuations in Padang clearly demonstrate how vulnerable these areas are. These conditions suggest that disaster impacts are not caused solely by nature but also by development policies that fail to prioritize environmental safety and disaster risk reduction. From a governance perspective, the Sumatra disasters also expose weaknesses in long-term disaster management. Government response tend to focus heavily on emergency actions such as evacuations and distribution of aid, while preventive measures receive far less attention. Without strict enforcement of environmental laws, ecosystem restoration, and disaster-based spatial planning, similar tragedies are likely to happen again. Stronger coordination between central and local governments is essential to ensure that environmental protection and disaster mitigation policies are implemented consistently and effectively. In conclusion, the floods and landslides that hit Sumatra at the end of 2025 serve as a serious warning. Extreme weather may be unavoidable, but large-scale disasters are not. When development ignores environmental limits, the consequences are paid for in human lives and long-term damage. Therefore, disaster management in Sumatra must move beyond emergency response and focus on prevention through environmental restoration, responsible land use, and sustainable planning. Only through these efforts can similar disasters be prevented in the future. That's all from me. Thank you. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.